Welcome back to our YouTube channel where we uncover astonishing stories from the world of rare coins, mind-blowing numismatic discoveries, and the most unexpected treasures found in pocket change. And today's feature might just be the most incredible tale of them all as we explore the unbelievable story of the 1999 5-cent coin, a seemingly ordinary nickel from the Philadelphia Mint that skyrocketed in value to an astounding $132 million, not because of its age or precious metal content, but because of a once-in-a-lifetime convergence of minting errors, metallurgical anomalies, and historical quirks that transformed it from common currency into a collector's holy grail. And as we dig deep into its features, characteristics, and all the minute details that contributed to its astronomical worth, you'll learn exactly what makes this specific coin so valuable, how these rare errors occurred, what possibilities exist for other coins from the same era, and why it's imperative for anyone who handles coins, be it a professional collector, casual hobbyist, or someone simply cleaning out their coin jar, to keep an eye out for what could be a $1 million miracle hiding in plain sight. And to understand the significance of the 1999 5-cent coin, we must first examine the context of its production, with the Philadelphia Mint churning out hundreds of millions of nickels in that year, tasked with keeping up with national demand for coinage as the country approached the new millennium, a time when digital and electronic payments had yet to completely overshadow physical currency and coin production remained at an all-time high. But with such massive scale, even the most sophisticated minting process can be vulnerable to oversights, mechanical malfunctions, die fatigue, and human error, and that's exactly what happened with the coin in question. What started as a simple planchette moving down a conveyor belt ended in a masterpiece of imperfection, a rare artifact of minting chaos that made numismatic history, beginning with the most obvious error that immediately captures attention, a breathtakingly dramatic off-center strike where the image of Thomas Jefferson is shifted so far to the left that over 30% of the coin's right side is blank, a naked crescent of nickel revealing that the coin was struck while the planchette was significantly misaligned under the die, an error so visually jarring and rare that even isolated off-center strikes of this magnitude fetch tens of thousands on their own. But in this case, it was only the beginning, because when examined under magnification, collectors notice something far more unusual, a profound and unmistakable double die obverse, one of the most cherished and sought-after errors in coin collecting, where every detail of the front image, Jefferson's eye, mouth, the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and even the date 1999, appeared slightly ghosted, doubled, and misregistered, a result of the die itself being improperly manufactured with two impressions misaligned, creating a doubled image that was then transferred to every coin it struck until the die was caught or retired. And the presence of a true double die, as opposed to mechanical doubling or die deterioration doubling, significantly increases value due to its rarity and diagnostic uniqueness, especially in a modern coin like the 1999 nickel where such errors are seldom seen. But this double die also occurred alongside one of the rarest of minting phenomena, a die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies collide with no planchette between them, transferring ghost-like images from one side of the die to the other, and in this case, the outlines of Monticello from the reverse appear faintly and eerily on Jefferson's cheek and neck, while Jefferson's eye socket and collar show up in the field behind the image of Monticello on the reverse, a haunting and accidental overlap of American iconography that fascinates both casual observers and seasoned collectors. And even beyond that, this coin displays evidence of a partial collar strike, where during minting the coin was only partially encased in the collar that's supposed to hold it in position, resulting in a slightly flared, misshapen edge with a slightly broader diameter than standard, and this unusual edge gives the coin a slightly warped or beveled feel when handled. Another highly collectible and visible trait of minting error, and the combination of these physical striking errors already places the coin into elite territory, but what takes it even further into the stratosphere of numismatic value is a series of metallurgical and compositional anomalies discovered through advanced testing using spectrographic analysis, which revealed that the planchette used to strike the coin was not composed of the standard copper-nickel alloy used for 5-cent pieces, but instead showed traces of zinc and manganese, metals not typically present in nickels, but used in other coinage, suggesting that this coin may have been struck on a transitional or experimental planchette, possibly one intended for another denomination or part of a secret or undocumented trial strike, and that theory is supported by the fact that the coin's weight is slightly lower than standard nickels, tipping the scales at just under 5 grams instead of the expected 5 grams. A subtle but significant deviation that reinforces the idea of an experimental or out-of-spec blank being used, and this kind of planchette anomaly is virtually unheard of in coins from the late 1990s, making it a 1 in a billion event. But even more baffling and intriguing is the nature of the mint mark. The small p placed to the right of Jefferson's bust to indicate the Philadelphia Mint, which in this case shows clear evidence of repunching, a condition known as an RPM, repunched mint mark, where the mint mark appears to have been stamped into the die twice in slightly offset positions, creating a shadow-like effect around the letter, a practice largely phased out in modern minting due to technological automation, making its presence in a 1999 coin a near impossibility, and that opens up a whole new set of theories and speculation about the origin of the die used to strike this coin, with some experts suggesting it may have been an older or experimental die mistakenly put into service, or perhaps part of a small batch of reconditioned dies used briefly before being pulled, and when all of these elements are taken together, the off-center strike, the double die clash, the partial collar, the foreign metal content, the low planchette weight, and the repunched mint mark, the result is a coin that represents the perfect storm of minting errors, the kind of piece that should never exist in theory, yet undeniably does, and its discovery set off a firestorm of excitement and speculation across the numismatic community when it was first revealed by a retired machinist in Pennsylvania who had been collecting coins casually for decades and who initially spotted the coin in a routine bankroll, recognizing immediately that it was highly unusual but having no idea just how rare and valuable it was, and after sending it to a third-party grading service for certification and evaluation, the coin was quickly authenticated and labeled with multiple high-tier designations including MS 67 condition, full steps designation due to the rare preservation of the steps on Monticello despite the error and multiple error labels, and it eventually made its way to auction where bidding began at a modest $500,000 and quickly escalated as major collectors, institutions, and investors entered the fray, culminating in a stunning final bid of $132 million, a price tag that shattered records and redefined the boundaries of value for modern-era coins. And what makes this story even more compelling is the mystery and excitement it has generated in the wider collecting community, as rumors have since emerged about the possible existence of additional error nickels from the same run, and while no other coin has surfaced with the full suite of errors found on the $132 million specimen, collectors and treasure hunters across the country have been re-examining their 1999 nickels, looking for partial clues, maybe a minor off-center strike here, a faint doubling there, or even the subtle hint of a die clash mark, because the discovery of one legendary coin often leads to the identification of others from the same flawed batch, and there is hope among enthusiasts that the 1999 P-era nickel is not an isolated miracle, but the vanguard of a new category of high-value modern-era coins, and this hope is reinforced by the fact that the late 1990s were a transitional period at the U.S. Mint, marked by modernization of equipment and changes in production policies, times when such unusual mistakes were more likely to slip through the cracks, and beyond the realm of coin mechanics and market speculation lies the philosophical allure of such a coin, the idea that extraordinary value can be found in something as mundane and overlooked as pocket change, that a small and seemingly insignificant object can hold within it a unique history, a rare intersection of chance and oversight, and a symbol of hidden wealth waiting to be discovered by those with eyes to see it. And so the 1999 P5-cent coin stands not just as a monetary marvel but as a cultural and psychological touchstone, reminding us that treasure still exists in the world, often where we least expect it, and that fortune sometimes smiles on the curious, the diligent, and the lucky few who take the time to look a little closer, question what they see, and hold on to something that others might discard without a second thought. And if this story inspires even one viewer to take a second look at their change, to visit a coin shop, or to begin a new journey into the fascinating world of numismatics. Last we explore the unbelievable world of rare coins, hidden treasures in pocket change, and jaw-dropping discoveries that have stunned collectors and historians alike, and today we're diving into the remarkable story of the 1997 5-cent coin from the United States of America, a simple nickel on the surface, but one that sold for an astonishing $32 million due to a powerful and almost unbelievable combination of minting errors, metallurgical anomalies, and historical production mysteries that turned it into one of the most valuable modern coins in existence. And what makes this coin even more legendary is that it was minted at the Denver Mint, represented by this D mint mark, one of the most consistent and high-volume mints in the country, making the presence of such a wild array of minting mistakes so unlikely that it captivated the attention of the numismatic world and sparked an ongoing search for others like it. And this script will break down in great detail all the known and suspected errors that exist on this particular 1997 5-cent coin, explaining how each mistake adds to its rarity, uniqueness, and ultimately its staggering value, beginning with the most visually striking and immediately noticeable error, the extreme off-center strike, which resulted in the obverse design featuring Thomas Jefferson's portrait being shifted so dramatically to one side that over 40% of the coin's right edge remains blank, exposing the raw nickel-colored planchet and giving the coin an unmistakable crescent moon appearance that instantly alerts any observer that something is wrong, and this off-center strike alone, had it been the only error, would already have made the coin worth thousands. But it is only the beginning of a series of major and rare mistakes that elevate the 1997 5-cent coin into a completely different universe of valuation, because under magnification, what immediately follows is the discovery of a bold double die obverse, a highly prized and valuable error where the die that struck the coin had been improperly engraved with a slight misalignment between impressions, resulting in every design element on the obverse appearing doubled and shadowed, especially noticeable in Jefferson's eye, lips, hairline, and the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the year 1997, each of which appears slightly duplicated, a telltale sign of a true double die, not to be confused with mechanical or die deterioration doubling, which are far more common and far less valuable. And when this kind of double die occurs on a coin already affected by an off-center strike, the numismatic value climbs rapidly, especially among elite collectors who seek only the most unique and eye-catching errors. And the drama continues with a spectacular die clash on this same coin, where during production the die struck each other without a planchet between them, causing ghost-like impressions of Monticello from the reverse to appear faintly and eerily across Jefferson's face and jawline, while the reverse itself bears inverted outlines of Jefferson's profile subtly overlapping with the architectural detail of Monticello, creating a haunting mirror effect that fascinates collectors and makes the coin one of the most visually unusual examples ever seen from the 1990s era of U.S. coinage. And to add another layer of complexity, the 1997 5-cent coin also exhibits a highly unusual repunched mint mark or RPM, where the D mint mark for Denver appears to have been stamped into the die more than once, slightly offset, creating a doubled shadow effect that is easily visible under magnification and which raises further questions about how and why such a repunching occurred on a coin from 1997 when most mint mark punches had already become automated, making this error anachronistic and especially rare. And further scientific testing of this particular coin revealed an anomaly in the metal composition, with trace amounts of zinc, iron, and manganese present in levels inconsistent with standard nickel planchets, suggesting that either the coin was struck on a transitional planchet from another denomination or that an experimental blank, perhaps part of a test batch, was accidentally used. And what makes this even more bizarre is that the total weight of the coin came in at just under 5 grams. A subtle but critical deviation from the standard 5.00 grams of a typical nickel, meaning the planchet itself was lighter, perhaps due to a misroll or an incorrectly prepared blank, which adds to the theory that this coin might not just be an error, but a test or transition coin that was never meant to enter circulation. And adding to this theory is the coin's remarkable edge, which exhibits the telltale signs of a partial collar strike, meaning that during minting, the coin was not fully enclosed in the collar that shapes its edges, resulting in a coin with a beveled, slanted rim on one side and a more traditional rim on the other, creating an uneven, lopsided appearance that further sets this specimen apart from standard circulation pieces and which collectors value as one of the most dramatic and desirable forms of striking error. And when all of these features are considered together, the extreme off-center strike, the strong double die, the dramatic die clash, the rare repunch mint mark, the unexpected planchet composition, the non-standard weight, and the partial collar edge, it becomes clear that this coin is not just a rare error piece but a once-in-a-lifetime numismatic phenomenon, and yet what truly sends the value of this coin into the stratosphere is its condition, which despite the numerous striking flaws, was preserved in an exceptional mint state grade, with no signs of wear, abrasions, or handling damage, suggesting that the coin either entered circulation briefly or was pulled immediately upon discovery, and its near-pristine surfaces combined with its dramatic errors created a perfect storm that stunned even seasoned collectors, dealers, and grading professionals, and when it was eventually submitted for grading, it received an Elite MS-67 designation from one of the top grading companies along with multiple error designations on the slab label, solidifying its reputation as a museum-quality piece, and when it finally went to auction, the response was overwhelming, with bidding starting in the low millions and escalating rapidly as collectors and private investors alike recognized the unique opportunity to own what is now considered one of the rarest and most spectacular 5-cent coins ever struck by the United States Mint, and the final price realized, $32 million, was not just a reflection of the coin's physical traits but of its status as a symbol of minting history, collector passion, and the never-ending mystery of what else might still be out there, hiding in rolls, drawers, or pockets, and since its discovery, the 1997 5-cent coin has taken on a legendary status within the coin collecting community, with enthusiasts poring over their own collections in search of other 1997 nickels that may show even partial signs of the same errors, and while no second specimen has ever been found with the full combination of anomalies, there have been reports of 1997 nickels with minor off-center strikes, light doubling, or weight irregularities, though none approaching the scale or perfection of the $32 million specimen, and this ongoing hunt has helped reinvigorate interest in late 1990s coinage, which had long been overlooked by collectors who assumed that truly valuable errors only occurred in much earlier decades, and yet here stands this coin, bold, imperfect, brilliant, and irreplaceable, as proof that even modern coins can hide secrets worth millions. And so the story of the 1997 5-cent coin becomes not just a tale of minting error, not just a financial marvel, but a symbol of possibility and potential, a reminder that treasures are still waiting to be discovered and that sometimes all it takes is a little curiosity, a keen eye, and a willingness to ask the question, is this coin ordinary, or is it extraordinary? And if the discovery of this coin teaches us anything, it's that even the most familiar objects, those we pass through our hands every day, can hold within them the power to shock, inspire, and change lives forever.